Well, what's up, everybody? Zach with KT Outdoors, and today we're going on a quick walk in the rain for our week late mid-month garden tour. Let's go. All right, everybody, let me give you the lay of the land before we get out there and start going. It was hot here. I mean hot. We had like a day in the 90s probably a week ago. And then within 3 days, we had a huge temperature swing and it dropped like 30 degrees. So we were down in the 60s for highs and like mid to low 40s for lows at night. It feels really cold, but mostly because it was so hot for a few days. We were in the 80s and 90s. I was like, man, we should plant the tomatoes out. I was really wanting to push the last frost date and get things in the ground because it felt like I could have planted them 3 weeks before the last frost date, which honestly I probably could have, as nice as the weather has been. But then this weird switch has happened, and today it's raining, it's cold, it's kind of nasty. But I did get some seedlings in the ground, and I wanted to talk to you about a few things that I do in the spring that I feel help my seedlings get off to a great start. Just a couple real simple tricks that I learned from some longtime gardeners when I first started living in the country. So we'll be sure to talk about those when we get down there. But in general, we'll just take a look at what's growing on in all of the growing spaces. So we've got a pile of seedlings still here in the greenhouse. We got some stuff from the local plant sale with the high school kids. We've got stuff to put in pots. We've got Mother's Day gifts hanging. We've got peppers and all sorts of things that I haven't gotten out yet because I've been busy and just haven't gotten to it. So as soon as this weather breaks, we'll be getting a lot more things in the ground because it's definitely time for our warm season stuff to go in the ground. So cucumbers, zucchinis, peppers, tomatoes, those are the big ones for us that I have here waiting to get in the ground if they're not already in the ground. And so those things will start coming out of this shed and get out into the growing spaces. Hey, if you're getting some value out of this kind of content, do me a huge favor. Smash that thumbs up down below there and consider subscribing to this channel. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm so that other folks who are interested in this content can find it and help our channel grow. So thanks for being here. We appreciate your support. You can see how much the living wall that is the chicken coop shade structure has just gone crazy. So this is a Virginia creeper vine. It was here when we moved in, and I've kind of built a structure here for it to grow up, which you can go back and look at some of the past footage to see kind of how that functions. The blackberry vine has taken off, but unfortunately all these canes that I thought were gonna put on some growth and have some fruit, they did not survive the winter, so I'll need to get those cut out of there and remain hopeful that something else will flower out of there. Fruit trees are kicking along. I did notice the other day, see, look at that. Got a couple Emerald Beauty plums hiding out on the inside of this tree, so that'll be exciting to get those. And the chickens are up here enjoying a nice rainy day, just sort of hanging. It's pretty muddy, and you see that puddle that's dripping under the shade structure there. I'm gonna get wet if I go in there, so I'm not going in there. But she has some babies in that box back there, and I'll drop in some footage here of the pictures and videos I took of the babies. Okay, we're just strolling past all the ornamental beds. You can see that the some of the vines, or not vines, that's an elderberry bush. It's just going crazy. These beds are all getting filled in nicely now, which will reduce the weed pressure. Oh, there's an elderberry flower. That might be the first elderberry flower to open. They're so pretty when they flower. These beds are all filling in nicely. It has been far too long and far too dry of a spring, so this rainy weather is incredibly welcome. Peonies are getting ready to absolutely pop. They should be opening up here any day. And the cherry tree remains to just be incredibly loaded with fruit. Okay, so I'm going to try to go over the shoulder down here because it honestly kind of tips the camera in a way that protects it from a bit of the rain. So broccoli down there is looking great. That was covered with fleece forever, but it looks really healthy now and is enjoying some room to grow. The corn back there looks a little bit weak, and you'll notice some tin cans in the beds there. These ones have zucchini in them, and these 4 here have some pickling cucumbers in them. You can kind of see down. They're just chilling out in there. So let's use those as an example. That corn looks a little weak. It's kind of hard to see from this distance, but part of the reason for its weakness, I'm betting that sound is too much. Part of the reason for its weakness is the wind. Like, I planted that out, and then the wind blew like 20 miles an hour, sustained for 2 or 3 days. It was just brutal. And there wasn't really much I could do to protect that much corn. Like, it's just going to have to get tough, and it'll survive and it'll be fine. But the other plants that I mentioned in those cans, they were just getting whipped around in the wind. And that's one of the things that I learned from an old experienced gardener years ago when I moved out into the country, is that the number one thing that kills seedlings in the winter time, or in the springtime I should say, when you first plant them out, especially if you're out in the country in an exposed situation, right? Like where you have open fields and things next to you. The thing that really kills seedlings the most is the wind, because it will just blow on them, it will whip them around, it will break their fragile little stems and do all of those sorts of things that makes their growth difficult. So there's the tip of the video right there. Put tin cans or something that won't blow away in the wind around your young seedlings and protect them from the drying forces of the wind to get them off to a good start. You can see the beds behind me are just doing awesome. All the lettuce and things are kicking. We're into the raised bed areas now, and the peas and the lettuces and everything in here is just absolutely going nutso. Anyway, cabbages, kale, gangbusters, bok choy went to seed. The old kale from last season is what's flowering in this front part of this bed, but the rest of it is new kale, and it will absolutely be loving this nice cool weather, as are all of the peas and the lettuces and everything else that's in here. And this Salanova is just actually going nuts. I need to get in here and harvest some more after this rain. You can see we harvested some just by cutting around the outside edges and getting all that taken care of. So that's been kind of cool.
So it's been going awesome. Stay tuned for part 2 of this little tour where we go down and check out the things that are growing on down in the food forest. There's a lot of great things happening down there as well. So Thanks for joining us. Remember to get outside and get growing, because life's better when it's lived outdoors. We'll see you in the next one.